Hey everybody, welcome back to I Am Me podcast. Today I'm here with LaQuanda Plantt. She is a casting director local to Atlanta. She founded ElleQ Casting in 2009 and has been working, I think, primarily as a casting director since then. I did some stalking online to see what I could find out, but
Don't we all?
yeah, but we'll also find out a lot from you about your journey and what you do and how maybe other
Awesome.
people can get into it. So, hi, how you doing
Love
today?
it. I'm great. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm
Yeah.
so happy to be here on this lovely Sunday afternoon. Wish the sun will come out, but
I know.
we're
We've
doing what
had
we
so
can.
much rain and I'm so ready for
Oh
some
my God.
sunshine.
Don't you feel like you live in Seattle?
Yeah, sometimes, which I hate.
But you know what I heard yesterday, which I was like, really? That we get more rain. Like it seems like when you think of Seattle that they get more rain, but really we get more rain than they do.
That's really bizarre because I feel like that's the place when I'm like I wouldn't want to live there because of the rain. That's where I
Right.
stay.
I don't
Uh,
know how true that is, but that's what someone told me yesterday. And I was like, that's really interesting. I have to look into that. Because if you
yeah.
think about it, like we do get a lot of rain, but when we get rain, it's like, shh. And then it's like so much flood rain. It's not like normal rain. It's just like
Yeah,
a
it's a
tsunami of rain and then it
downpour.
stops.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh.
Exactly.
All right, so my first question, I always jump off and I'm like, how did you get to where you are now? You're a casting director primarily, and then you also
Mm-hmm.
do directing. And then I also looked at
Mm-hmm.
your credits, and you have a laundry list of credits from production secretary, some PA work in the beginning. And so, which is just how this industry works, I would say. So, what is
Yeah.
your story? How did this come about for you? Was this something you were always interested in, or was this something that shifted in life for you? You.
No, I actually always kind of, I don't want to say always, but like as kids, we go through careers like, oh, I want to
Mhm.
be a lawyer, I want to be this.
Mhm.
And mine went from accountant, lawyer, and then at 17, I wanted to be a filmmaker. So
Okay.
I've wanted to be a filmmaker since I was 17 years old. And I wanted to go, according to my stepdad, may he rest in peace, he said, I said, because I'm from Hartford, Connecticut, and he
Mhm.
said that I said at 12 years old that I wanted to live in Atlanta. I can only imagine me saying that because my mom is originally from Alabama, from a small
Okay.
town called Atmore, and I spent a lot of time there. So I've always considered myself a Southern Yankee. And so I think not wanting to live in Alabama, we used to drive through Atlanta, and maybe that was like the closest city. Like I knew I wanted to live in a city, but I didn't want to live in New York. So I think I just chose Atlanta. But I went to college here and I majored in mass media film and video production and later digital filmmaking. And I always wanted to direct, but at the time when I was in school, this was early 2000s, Atlanta wasn't the film city it is now. It was more
Mhm.
news. So when we were taking classes, we was learning like multicam, we was visiting news stations, and that was all cool. Nothing against news, but that wasn't what I wanted to do. And I always the only female in class as well, which whatever, that didn't bother me, but I didn't really feel like I had a voice. And it was also so technical, I kind of lost interest in it. And then randomly for an editing class, we had to create a short film. And I ended up casting it and I had auditions. And then I was like, wow, what is this? Let me figure this out. Unfortunately, it was really hard for me to get like an internship. Like I kept emailing people and nobody would give me a chance. So I started interning at a talent agency. So I was on the other end of it. And
Okay.
then I'm in their files. I'm emailing the people like, give me a chance. And I ended up from that getting an internship with a local casting director, which I'm not going to name. But from there, I started LQ Casting in 2009. And from that, I started producing around 2012. And then fast forward to 2016, I want to say, I went back to school because I had got my associates, but I had never finished. So I went back to get my bachelor's in digital filmmaking. And from there, I had to direct a film to graduate. And that's how I started directing. But I feel like it was kind of like the universe, like back in 2000, I want to say 14, 15, I did extras casting on Selma. I met a director and I got the chance to meet Ava DuVernay. And I was very inspired by her. And not too long after that, I went to a screening for the film called Mudbound. And I met the director. Her name was Dee Reese. And she just literally let me pick her brain, answer all these questions. So these are women directors, right? And then my last year, because I graduated in 2018, I started PA. That's when I started to PA, because I was casting since 2009, but I was doing a lot of indies. And so I wanted to get my foot in the door of studio and network. I'm like, how can I do that? Let me start over as a PA. And what's interesting about that, and also a little tip, like I think I kind of prevented myself from doing that, because years ago I had friends saying, you should come and be a PA. And I'm like, I'm a casting director. In my mind, I already had this vision for myself. And I think it prevented me from getting opportunities, because in my mind, I'm like, this is what I wanted to do, but I wasn't where I wanted to be, per se. And so I started as an office PA on this show called Greenleaf, which came on the OWN network. And then a show called Step Up High Water, which was on YouTube, Red. And being on Step Up, literally from beginning to end, seeing 10 different directors come in and direct different episodes. And I was like, and seeing them different styles, like no director is the same. And that kind of lit a fire in me, where I was afraid to be a director, because I didn't like the technical aspect of it. That always was in my mind. Like, I'm not really technical. I don't really know all the lenses I passed cinematography, but it just wasn't my thing. And so I didn't think I could be a director because of that, because I was like, well, I really don't know that much. But then working on Step Up, learning and seeing the different styles, there's so many directors that are just creative. You have directors that come in that wants to storyboard. You have directors that come in that don't storyboard. You have directors that come in that really are technical. And then you have some that are not. And then learning that, seeing that there are different styles of directing and different types of directors, I was like, okay, let me light this fire back in me. And I directed a short film for my senior project called Valley Morgan TV Qualified. And not only did I get an A on that project, I was like best in show in my portfolio class, and went on to, go into some film festivals. And I really only did that film to graduate.
Yeah.
And then people were like, oh, you need to put this in festivals. Oh, you need to do this with this. Oh, you're going to make this a show? And I'm like, I don't know. So it, it just all kind of organically happened. But I say organically, but it was something that was literally something I wanted to do since I was 17, but was afraid to do it. So I kind of fell into casting, which to me was okay, because it still was a love for film. And I have such a love for the art of auditioning and the acting process. Like, even before I became a casting director, I was auditing classes. I really took it seriously. I know a lot of people just say, hey, I want to do this now. This is who I am. Me, I need to do the work, because I just want to be really comfortable with saying, it took me a while to call myself a casting director.
Mm-hmm.
But I did audit classes. I took workshops. Any LA casting director that came into Atlanta, I went to their panels and workshops, and, just really I really like to know what I'm doing. Even producing, I just fell into that because I really wanted to not just cast. In everything I did, I wanted it to be good. So I just naturally just did more things. And that's how I started producing.
I think it's great to hear that you struggled to call yourself a casting director, because I think, myself included, a lot of us struggle on the acting side to call ourselves an actor. I'm not really an actor until I've booked a network show, or, it doesn't matter how many years of work you've put into it until you do something that gives you that stamp of being able to call yourself that. So I think that's a great point, and something awesome for other people to recognize that that's also happening on the other side of the camera with casting directors and directors. And this industry can definitely make you feel like an imposter a lot of the time. And I think a lot of it is just trusting your gut, trusting the little universal God winks, whatever you want to call them, where you're like, okay, I got a little encouragement that I can keep going with this. And I think it's cool too. I have a question. Was it hard for you? Because you really pivoted going back to PA work. And I hear that, because I've done PA work too, and it's very hard. And it can feel like a step down, I would say. Do you feel like, did that like humble you, or did you feel like it was hard to say, you know what, I need to do some PA work? Because on the indie side, you're doing pretty well as a casting director, but you want to get over into that network side. So how was that transition or that for you?
That's a great question, because all of that. First, I'm gonna rewind back to something you had said in regards to the stamp of approval. If you notice, it's really kind of like self-validation within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
No one else is looking at us like that. People are just like, oh, you're doing this, you're doing that. And it was me that was saying, oh, I'm not good enough. So even with actors out there, you could be acting in a school play, then you're an actor. But it's also good to want to strive to be better. So just finding that healthy balance of saying, yes, I'm an actor, but I'm consistently working on my craft to be a better actor, to be a bigger actor. And to answer your question, yes, it was a hard transition. Only because in my mind and in my ego space, I'm like, do these people know who I am?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I wanted the opportunity and I wanted to learn. And I think that was more so the producer in me, because I started as a PA. But when I was a PA, I walked around. I talked to everyone from accounting to construction. I was asking everyone, so what is it that you do? Grit, what is it that you do? I really wanted to know. And I've been an office PA and worked my way up in the office. I was a production secretary on Black Lightning. I was assistant production coordinator on a few shows. And now I'm a production coordinator. But I've also worked in crafty. You know what I'm saying? I worked in costumes as a costume coordinator for a couple of weeks on a show. So I just really wanted to just learn as much as I can. I talked to the transpo captain and about what they do. When I work on the studio projects, I'm walking around the set to see how things are being built or seeing how these sets we watch are really built on a stage. I just really love filmmaking. So at first, yes, as an office PA, it was challenging because in my mind, I'm like, come on. But I also had people saying to me, like, why are you going back to school? You're already in the industry, but I feel like on your own journey, only you can know where you want to be and only whatever that looks like for you. So now, yes, I'm a casting director who's actively working. Yes, I'm a producer in the Producers Guild, but I'm also a production coordinator. And so to me, that opens doors for me to work, because before, when I was just a casting director, I was still waiting tables.
Right.
Because I had to pay bills and I have 2 sons who were small at the time. So, but now I can work all these multiple jobs in the industry I want to be in. And a lot of people didn't know that. Like, I literally probably quit serving maybe 7 years ago.
Wow.
But I was casting since 2009, which is almost 15 years. So half of that time I'm casting movies, but then I'm going to Buckhead to work at a restaurant,
Yeah, I was just talking to an acting friend of mine about that, where people don't realize. I had a friend of mine who booked a guest star spot on Found, and she's a waitress, and it's like she had that spot and she had that part, but she's like on network television, like you can go and watch her, but then she's going after she's going and doing her filming, she's going back to her job. And I just don't think
to work.
People realize that it's not. A lot of education happened with that to people who aren't in the industry around the like actors strike, the SAG strike. I think they're like, why is this such a big deal? And it's not about just the 1% up here. Like, there's so many other working parts. But I think the point you made about going around and just being a sponge and absorbing, I think that just works with anything. If you really, because one, people like to be cared about, and people who are passionate about this want to share that with you. So going around from department to department and like showing interest in what someone else is doing, one, because you're genuinely interested, but two, that also is like, cool, she's a hard worker, but also I get to share what I love to do and what I contribute to this project with her. And I don't think everybody gets that opportunity.
Right. And then I also, in addition to that, like this is an industry where it's who you know first and what you know second. So my job opportunities came, I think, after I finished Step Up. I was referred to jobs from someone who worked in accounting just by corresponding with her.
Yeah.
So you just never know, because they'll be looking for somebody and they're like, oh, I know a great person who could do this, And I did travel for a little bit on some really cool shows. And I got those jobs because I was friends with the travel coordinator on my show,
Mm-hmm.
and if she wasn't available, I know someone who would be a great person for this. So,
I think
you just never know.
Connections too, because the networking aspect really can stress me out, even though I'm outgoing and stuff like that.
I hate networking.
Yeah, like me and LaQuanda met at had a holiday Christmas party, and she came to it, and then I ended up talking to her for like 45 minutes. And I also had a moment I was just talking to you and I was fine, but then I had a moment where I was like, okay, this is a casting director. You've like talked this poor woman's ear off, like disengage.
But I think that's how we connected, though, because I think we both was like, we don't like to network and talk, and we just started talking because I was staying in the same place.
Right. Well, I hate too. I'm a pretty genuine person, and I don't like feeling like, oh, there's a casting director here, there's a directing here. It's like, okay, go kiss their ass. And I'm like, one, decent people don't enjoy that. I would say anybody who's normal is like,
I hate
it.
It's
like I don't want you to come and kiss my ass. But so there's like that component of it, and I don't like it. It feels awkward and weird.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, if I can come and like have a conversation with you, I'd much rather do that. And I don't like the idea of someone being like, hey, go talk to that person. Like that's gonna help you.
Right.
So I'd rather it be organic.
Because if you notice, I didn't even have on a name tag. Mm-hmm. I don't like to wear name tags when I go because I want to see who's going to just come up and be polite and just speak to me, or who's speaking to me because they see big casting director on my name tag. So I don't really like to wear them. And I've always been like that. I know it's weird, but I would go to networking events and I would purposely not wear a name tag, because if I did, then I'm surrounded by people who would normally just walk right by me.
Right. I think it's nice too when you actually can have a genuine conversation with whoever is on the other side of the lens, because it takes that stress off of it, or that I feel like as an actor, a lot of times like CDs, directors, producers, they can get put on a pedestal in my mind. And then I'm like, oh no, LaQuanda's cool. Like I don't have to, I don't have to like be stressed out talking to you and be like, let me be on presenting myself. And I think that's just really nice when you can kind of pull that curtain back and recognize, hey, we're all people here, and we all just want to create this thing, and we all love, and we all have our piece to play in creating this really cool thing. So.
Right. No, I agree. 110%. It's also just knowing the time and the place, yes, I'm cool. I'm gonna always be cool. When it's time to work, it's time to work, And so I think that's kind of like a fine line that a lot of people just can't really get right sometimes, because I could meet you and we could be cool and we're talking, and then, not saying this has happened, so I don't want anybody to think you did this, but just as an example, then you're like hitting me up all the time, like, hey, what you got working on? What's up, sis? Like, hey, what you got for me? And I'm like, what? No, that's not how I do business.
Right.
So it's knowing, to me, please don't put me on a pedestal, but please respect who I am, because at the end of the day, it's still work, and it's a job opportunity, and it's a cast. Like, we're like entertainment human resources, I guess. Like we give actors jobs. So me personally, yes, I'm going to be friendly. I'm the girl next door, but when it's time to work, just respect that space.
Yeah. I think that, yes, one, it's professional. I think some of the best advice I ever got for helping me strip my nerves back a little bit was from an acting teacher, that he's like, what you have to understand is you're being hired to work. You need to show, like, yes, acting is a craft and there's that whole artistic component of it. But from a producer standpoint, I hired this person to come and do this job. Come and do your job, be on time, be prepared, and do your job. So I think he said that to me a couple years ago, and I was like, okay, that actually helps take the nerves off of it a little bit, because there's always nerves with it anytime you perform, but at least recognizing from other standpoints, hey, you've been hired to do this thing, come do this thing. Just like you've been hired to be a casting director, wouldn't be great if you then were not casting a movie, if you were like just like not auditioning actors or whatever.
Right. No, I agree. Good advice for sure.
Yeah. So, and the next question I have for you is, what has been some of the hardest parts of this journey? And then what have been some of the best parts?
I would say the hardest parts, one thing about me, I feel like I've always been an advocate, I feel like, for actors, because I feel like I understood the journey. we're in an industry where nothing is really guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have insurance. Your money's not guaranteed. You don't know when the next gig is going to come. And when I started again working on indies, financially, it was a struggle. I had 2 young kids. I'm trying to remember the ages, but they were young. So 2009, my youngest was 3. So 3 and 5 or 6,
Mm-hmm.
my kids were when I started. So it wasn't about me. If it was just me, I'll live in a, box under the bridge, but I had to feed my kids. And just feeling, is this going to happen? You seeing other people getting jobs and you're not getting the jobs that you want to get. And it can be a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's why I became such an advocate. I became a life coach as well in 2017, because overall it could take a toll on your mental health, and it could take a toll on, you believing in yourself, and then you have your family telling you to get a real job. That doesn't help,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like you're on this journey and you feel alone, and you may be having like I've been evicted. I've had financial struggles throughout this journey, not being able to pay my bills because I'm doing what I love and I'm doing, dreams. And so I think that's the toughest part of just not knowing, not having that financial stability or even job security, just not knowing what the next thing is going to be. That's always tough. And the flip side of it is that I'm doing, at the same time, I'm still doing what I love, and I'm still doing what I'm passionate about. And I'm giving people opportunities to do what they love.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the best thing, I don't call as much as I used to when I first started, but I used to call and offer the roles. And I would have like people cry and just be so excited. And that just filled my heart. And so just realizing that my dreams, I'm making people dreams come true too, just fulfilling my dreams. So I feel like a vessel in some way.
That's really cool.
But that's, I think, it's the best and the worst part.
I know, but I think that's a really cool way to look at it. And I think that's cool that you used to call, because I don't know, there's just very few things that I've booked. It's like my heart stops in my chest. I usually get an email from my agent and I'm like, oh, I can legit do this, because I think it's constantly trying to be like, can I do what I say I can do? Can I do what I keep practicing? Comparison game where you said other people are getting jobs and you're kind of like, okay, I'm just here. And I don't think people realize the time. It's years. It's years of your life. And then you fall into that. Sometimes you'll be comparing yourself to people who they're on year 20 and you're on year 5. And so, but that combined with this financial component of it, which I fall into that as well, I always say it's the conundrum of trying to do what you love, but trying to pay your bills.
Exactly.
So I think being able to take it and have that, for you to be able to recognize that you're fulfilling your dreams, but then this beautiful vessel of being able to then turn around and say, hey, you got the part. And just the joy that comes with that, because joy is just infectious. Giving joy, it always ends up coming right back to you. So I don't know. I love that. And I love that you recognize your job and what you do as that. And I think people can get burned out on it. It's like you haven't, and you still are like finding that joy and recognizing the joy that you're passing. Which is really cool.
And I also feel like thank you so much. I also feel like I've found a way to find joy overall in filmmaking. And I feel like me being able to wear so many hats. My first job since the strike is over is actually a coordinating job. I haven't got a call to cast anything yet. I haven't got a call to produce or direct anything yet. And so, but I'm not looking at it like, because ultimately that's the long goal. I would love to produce and direct full time, but I'm just enjoying the moment. I feel like we are blessed to work in an industry that most people just watch on TV and they don't understand the ins and outs of this business. And we get to be a part of it. Like, we're not heart surgeons. We're not curing cancer. We're not even politicians.
Thank goodness.
It could be worse. Right. So I just feel like, wow, we're blessed to really entertain people.
Mm-hmm.
And something you had just said that a lot, they may not express it, but a lot of actors are thinking the same. Like, I'm on my 5 and they're in their 20. Because I used to do the same thing with other casting directors. Like, they are casting everything, and I'm not casting anything. It's your journey.
Yeah.
You can't compare yourself to anybody else.
I like that you said you're trying to find the joy in whatever it is that you're doing, because that's something that I really, for 2024, joy and excitement, because I feel like I've gotten really jaded by acting, and I audition and I don't book, which is fine. Like you said, it's part of my journey. I've been really trying to shift my attitude, and it's been good. I've gotten some good auditions this year, and I'm like, you know what? You're getting auditions. Some people don't even get auditions. And so I've just been trying to completely shift my focus to play. I want to play the way when I was 13 years old. I just acted for the fun of it, not because I was trying to impress anybody. I was like, there was a little girl who used to act, and I used to do it just because it was fun. It wasn't me trying to book a job or whatever. So I really want to get back to that. And that's what I've been working on this year. I really like that you're doing the same. Whatever you're working on, whether it's coordinating, producing, directing, casting, you're finding the joy in that thing and recognizing that it is something to be grateful for, that we get to do this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it is. And I will say, and I will be 100% transparent. It is hard. Could I be an actor? Probably not. It is hard. Like, it's a very vulnerable craft and career, and you hear no all the time. Not because you're not great. It's just because it's just so much competition. Like I said, it takes a toll on the human.
Yeah.
I hate hearing no's.
Right.
So I can't imagine going into a room, being in front of me and maybe other people. You never know who's in there, and you're vulnerable and you're doing your best, and it's just like, thank you. And you have no idea what that means.
Right.
Or did you do good? Did you do bad? And then you don't book. And it's, again, because it's not that you're not good. It's because it's hundreds of other people, going for the same role.
I was going to ask you, looking back, is there anything that you would do differently? Or are you, which is kind of hard. I feel like that's a tough question because your journey is your journey. But if there's things that you could change, or maybe things that you wish you learned sooner or whatever, do you think you would?
I don't have any regrets. The only thing I think I would have done differently is I would have probably PA'd a little earlier. Because I remember when I was working on the Miss Pat show, and one of the production executives that I've known for years, and she said to me, I told you years ago that you should work in production. And again, I just had that ego of like, I'm a casting director. But during the pandemic, I also learned to line produce. And so that's another one of my little side hustles too. I do budgets, and for indies, I line produce. But in that journey, if I would have started earlier, I probably could have been a UPM or a line producer by now. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like, but again, not taking away, like at the end of the day, I'm still a creative. And me and a friend was just talking about that on Friday. Like, after coordinating, I can move up to supervisor, then move up to line producing. And that's really good money, especially on a network show. I said, but I'm a creative. I want to produce. I want to be a producing director.
Right.
The end goal is producing director.
Okay, cool.
And so I'm just really like wherever that journey takes me. But I do feel as though I would have gotten out my ego and probably just jumped into the studio world just a little bit sooner.
Okay, I have a question about the producing, directing, because I have a vision in my head of where I want to end up, of course. Do you ever find yourself having fear about what if it doesn't happen? Or are you like, nah, it's going to happen? You just are at a point where you're just stable and secure with where you're at and what you bring to the table. How do you deal with that, combat that?
Let me tell you, I know it doesn't look it, but I'm going to be 45 years old this year.
It doesn't look it, guys. It does not look it. I thought this girl was like in her early 30s when I first met her.
So I'm in a place of it's going to happen, and I'm also now. When I was in my early 30s, if you would have asked me, I would have been like, I don't know, and I think that is why I waited tables, just for the uncertainty of, is this really going to happen? I don't know if I shared this or not, but again, I've been casting since 2009, and I cast my first network project in 2022.
Oh, wow. I was gonna
You know
say,
what I'm
I was looking
saying?
at your
So
credits and I was like, so this girl's taken off like 2021, 2022, 2023. I was like, what's she got coming in 2024?
I don't know, but hopefully something soon. But I feel like that's the journey. Like sometimes it's quick for some people and sometimes it's not. And sometimes it's the relationships. And I feel like early in my career, I didn't have the relationships to catapult my career. I wasn't in the right place at the right time. And I don't know, I can't say because it's my journey. But when people look at things like that, and I still didn't give up. First of all, I loved being an independent casting director. I love working on indie films only because I felt as though I had more of an input. Whereas, these other casting directors, no shade to them, they are working on bigger projects. But then, like even me, I can't say this is who I want. I have to make choices, send it to the director, who sends it to the network. It's an approval process now. Whereas when I was doing indies, it's like doop 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 doop. This is who I like, and 9 times out of 10, that's who we're casting.
That's cool.
So I felt as though I had more of a say with indies, but everybody wants to see the names in the credit on television or in a movie, on a big screen. So it was always that void for me of like, I loved what I did, but I always still wanted the bigger roles, the bigger projects. Like I want to work on films still that are being nominated for Oscars or,
Yeah.
really dope
Who
TV
doesn't?
shows. Exactly. So, just having the appreciation for where you are, but you still want to strive. And in regards to producing and directing, it's going to happen. I'm just claiming it, and that's just what it's going to be.
I love it. I love it. Okay, with you saying that, how do you keep yourself, because there's no doubt that this journey can be very draining. We talked about mental health and just the toll it takes. So what are some things that you do, if you don't mind sharing personally, to
Right?
keep yourself, just keep that energy up and not let the naysayers or any of that like just get you down. Just know who you are and what you bring to the table.
I started meditating. Once we were working, girl, I haven't did this in a while, but I would get a massage every week. That is my happy place. I love a spa day. I love my massage therapist. He is amazing. And that kept me afloat. But then journaling, and that's why I created the LQ Presents the Actors Journal.
That's awesome.
And then I started traveling. I started finding ways to just I'm a Libra too. So I need the balance.
Yeah.
I need the balance. And as I got older, more self-validation, not so much caring what other people thought. Just doing what I wanted to do, whatever that looked like, just doing what made LaQuanda happy.
Okay. I had a question about your massage. Are you a deep tissue girl or you want like gentle? Because I'm like, get in there.
I'm a flower. No, Lord, no. I'm a flower. And what's funny is because like my massage therapist, he's a man. So that I've had deep tissue massages and that's so hurts so bad. But I think I think that works for something else. But I feel like in regards to just relaxing, I don't want to be beat up.
That's fair.
Give me the nice music. Yeah. Just go ahead and get your elbows in there. But like nice. So I always feel and my massage therapist, his name is Howard. He's amazing. Like he'll rub your toes. Like
good.
I feel very relaxed when I leave there. It's not any of that crazy stuff you see on Instagram, but I'm very comfortable and relaxed, and I absolutely love him. Like I think again because of the strike, I didn't do much. I probably had like 2 massages last year, and I'm getting one next Saturday.
Exciting.
I'm really excited about that. But I was going every single week.
That's awesome. I think that's my new goal in life is to be able to get a massage every single week. Because I get them, but I always get like the deep tissue because I do it like once a month. And I'm like, all right, time to get all the stuff out, get everything out. And they're not the most enjoyable, but I feel better after.
See, and again, it's what that looks like for you. Like that's me. Like I love a spa day. I love candles. Like I just love that. So I feel like whatever that looks like for you, I have a friend that hikes. That's not my jam, But if it's your jam, that's what you should do. again, meditate. Like, and even in my office when I'm coordinating, because that can be very stressful too. Me in my office, we will close the door. We'll pop on a 5-minute YouTube, meditate, turn the lights down.
Yep.
For 5 minutes, we are meditating.
They say 5 minutes works. Like
It does.
like you don't have to. I was talking to a friend of mine about this, that like people have this idea that you need to sit down and do like 20, 30 minutes. But if you just give yourself 5 minutes a day, and again, like you said, it's what works for you. So like if all you can give yourself is 5 minutes a day, that's better than giving yourself no minutes a day, you know?
No minutes a day. Deep breathing. I'm very big on deep breathing, like, because that always can calm you down. Like if you're feeling really anxious or upset, take 10 seconds to do some really deep breaths. And by the time you get to 8, you can feel your body just calming down. We are in a very stressful industry. So I feel like those things.
And then life is just stressful on top of it.
That part.
Yeah. We like compounded it. Or like, life's hard. Let's also choose something that's pretty hard.
That's what I told a friend about it. I was like, what was I thinking? I don't know if this industry is really for me. It's so stressful. And it's such a hard industry to be in. I mean, yes, it's some wonderful people, but there's also being in the entertainment industry reminds me of the movie The Devil's Advocate. I don't know if you've ever seen it. If you have not, you should. With Al Pacino
yes.
and Charlize Theron. And I was a Keanu Reeves, and you just don't know who has the devil face or who not. You know, like you just don't know.
Right? You don't.
You just don't know. And I think that's the tricky part.
I think, what is her name? Emilia Clarke, Queen of Dragons in Game of Thrones. I want to make sure I said her name right. I know that's not. I watched Game of Thrones and I can't remember her name, the character's name, but I know Emilia Clarke is there.
Cersei.
Thank you.
Oh no, that's not Cersei. That's Khaleesi.
All of them sound so similar.
Yep. Of the dragons.
Yes. She had a thing in an interview where she was like, they basically had asked her, what would she say to someone who said, I wanted to be an actor? And she said the first thing she'd say is, are you sure? Because she was like, although this industry has given me some of the best moments of my life, it's also given me some of the worst. And I was like, oh, that's so true. Because like you said, you don't know who's really in this for like what you would hope everybody's in it for. But just like in life, there's good and there's bad. Like there's people doing stuff that's shady and there's people who are doing stuff that's out of good intentions and pure heart. So
exactly. And when that comes to like interaction with self and you, it's just like everybody's not your friend, you know, and we need to stop acting like that because that's how people get hurt. And I'm such a passionate person that I had to read books. I read a lot of books too. Is it the four agreements? I feel like, but like not taking everything personally. I think naturally as a Libra, I get attached to things and I take everything personally. And I had to learn in this business not to take everything personally. But yeah.
With the directing, producing as like your big goal, your big dream, do you have what you would want to do? Like what kind of project? Do you want to share or do you not want to share? Sometimes people have...
No, sure, of course. Okay. I want to be a producing director for like episodic television. So I want to be able to do television. And I love Ryan Murphy. It's a dream to work with him. I would love to work with him. I'm like trying to get into his director's program. But I love a lot of different, like we were just talking about Game of Thrones, which to me is one of the best TV shows ever made. I would have loved to have worked on Game of Thrones. Power, when it was on air, which I still watch all the installments, but when Power was the original one, like I would have killed to be on to that show and work on that show and just be a part of the creative team. But I watch literally every single type of show. So it's hard. Like I just watched Ted Lasso and was like, this show was effing amazing.
I loved that show. It was so funny. So good too. And there's so many moments that were so raw and real.
Motivational.
Yeah. I didn't expect to have a moment where I was crying in this comedy. Like
I cried a lot in Ted Lasso because it just hit your heart. I'm like, but the thing is, I binge watched it just a few weeks ago and was upset. I was pissed, really. I didn't know I could say that on your
go for it.
podcast, but I was pissed because I don't know why I thought it was 5 seasons and it was just 3. I was like, wait, no.
Yeah.
And I soon as I found out that he was going home, I just was like, no. I was so sad. I was so sad. But see that, but there I just also finished the morning show. So I would go from Ted Lasso to Kanan, Power Kanan. You know what I'm saying? Like I am like all the Queen's men. You know,
I love
I just
it,
watch
though.
just everything.
I think it gives you a good mix though too. And it also, watching all that stuff gives you, you know, what's the word? Inspiration for different things. And if your end goal is product TV, which I think is awesome, by the way. I love TV. I think movies are really cool, but I've always been like, dude, to have a recurring, whatever.
A recurring role?
Yeah, on a TV show.
What you want?
Where you could continue building a character over episode episode. I'm like, that's cool. But then I also, as the actor, I could also get where if you're 8 seasons down the road, which who do I have? I don't have a right to like gripe about anything. This is me talking about my dreams in Wonderland right now. I'm like, yeah, I'll take a co-star, but you know, this is down the road, Liz. I mean, like, I think that's so cool to be able to see something over time. Now, with directing, producing for a TV show, you would not be there for the whole season. You would just be, or would you? Because is that
so? I want to direct, but ultimately, like, so if I'm directing, I could have, you can work on many shows, but I would love to be a producing director on one show. On, like my show, whoever show it is, because you're involved with them, so you're not going anywhere.
Right.
And other directors would come in, but I'm also a producer, so you're still pretty involved in the show.
That's super cool.
Right. But as a director, I just want to be able to work. Now, granted, I don't want to say I don't want to work on movies, because I would love to work on movies, but I feel like my heart would be super satisfied and happy to be able to hop and work on different shows. That just seems like the bee's knees
fun
for me.
I love it. Bee's knees.
It does.
I had another question. Okay. I get so excited in these, and I'm like, where am I? What's going on?
Bring the excitement. Let's go.
What advice would you give for people who either just want to get in this industry or specifically want to get into what you're doing? What little golden-eyed child coming up to you, what would you say?
I would say the same thing that someone asked Emilia Clarke, like, are you sure? But, what's funny about that, I meant to add that when you said it, when I started casting and I sat on a casting director workshop with one, and she asked me, she was like, are you sure? You sure you want to be a casting director? Because we are the most underappreciated position. And 14, 15 years later is so true. You're lucky if an actor thanks the casting director when they get an award. As far as entertainment, again, I feel like it's something that you'd be really, really passionate about, but just have the understanding that this is a business. Yep. It's not all glitz and glamour, and it's going to be ups and downs, and it's going to be hardship, and you're not going to walk through the door and all of a sudden have everything you want. It's going to take a lot of work and a lot of passion, a lot of effort, a lot of tears, a lot of hardships. And is that something you want? It's a beautiful, beautiful industry. It's a beautiful craft, but you have to want it for the right reasons. And to be famous is not the right reason. And so if I could give any advice, it's just to know who you are as a person first, because that will help with the hardships. Have a love for what you want to do, whatever that may be, and just be willing to give out your blood, sweat, and tears for it.
That was some great advice right there. If you didn't hear anything else in this interview, just go replay that. Give you your little motivational. Do you ever? I'll listen to those motivational speeches on YouTube sometimes. So you just gave us a YouTube motivational speech. I feel like
I love that. I secretly want to be a motivational speaker. I just haven't done it.
I swear, some people on Instagram, they just make motivational videos every day, and all of a sudden they got millions of followers. When you said there's going to be a lot of tears, I just thought, yeah, my mama see me cry a lot of tears. But God bless that woman. She keeps keep going for it. But
that's what I'm about to say. As long as she keeps supporting you, that's all that matters. And I love that, because there are a lot of people that don't have it took a support system like that.
My parents are very supportive, but I swear when I finally, at 20 years old, told my dad I was in biology pre-med, and I was like, I'm going to switch to film. and pursue acting. I swear.
He's like, no, you're not.
I swear my dad's eyes went like straight to seeing me under a bridge in Atlanta.
He's like, no, you're not.
Yeah. He's come around.
Oh, I love
He's
that.
come around. But it took at first he was like, wait a minute, I was gonna have a doctor, and now, but he's proud.
You know what's so funny about that? Because like now I'm like the opposite of that. I think because I'm creative, that so if my kids want to do creative things, I'm like, whatever you want to do. But then I'm like on the other side of my brain, like, am I being a good parent? Because maybe I should push them to do other things.
I was gonna say my parents. I don't have any like artists in my back. Well, my grandmother was like a painter and stuff like that, but I don't have any performing artists or anybody who did it as a career. I have go to college 9 to 5, and so I think the artists having a little actor come through, they're like, what do we do with you? But they're good.
They don't understand that.
They're very supportive.
No, I understand that. I didn't have I didn't have a blueprint.
Yeah.
I think that was also what was hard about my journey, is just not having a blueprint, being in a culture where I think people didn't want to teach you because they were afraid you were going to take their position. So I didn't have a mentor either, unfortunately. So just trying to figure it out. And I have my youngest son who wants to edit.
Yeah, I remember you telling me.
And my oldest son, he wants to be an editor. And my oldest son wanted to go to school for music. And then I just think college fell at the wrong time with him, and graduating high school during the pandemic. It just wasn't for him. And now he works with me on shows, and he really fell in love with craft services. So I think that's what he wants to do. So, whatever works, so, but yeah.
I think that's good though, because college isn't for everyone. And one of the biggest hang-ups I would say that I have is, one, I didn't really need to go to school for what I'm doing. I've learned so much more from taking acting classes not in a college setting, specifically for film.
Yeah.
And then some people, they're just not meant for college, and that's fine. And people have amazing, fulfilling careers outside of going to college.
Right.
So I don't love that being forced.
No, because I think I agree with that 100%. And because I feel like certain career paths, you need to go to college.
You're going to be a surgeon.
But in regards to, for sure, lawyer, engineer,
Yeah.
But in regards to entertainment, and I'm not telling anyone not to go to college, but no one has asked to see my degrees.
Yeah.
No one has asked me what school I've went to. No one has inquired about any of that. I barely show my resume. So it just depends, again, on the situation. I do think it's a good idea if you did want to go to college, go for business. Because that was always a struggle for me. I'm so creative that the business part just kind of was a struggle for me, because I'm not very business minded. But I felt like just having that would have been a good addition.
Final question, kind of flipping the script, changing lanes. I don't know, however you want to say that. On the other side of the camera, because I only see my side of the camera. On the other side of the camera, do you feel like you are a woman and a person of color? Do you feel like inclusivity really is changing and evolving? Because I feel like we're told it is, but maybe not as quickly as it needs to be.
No, I don't. I feel like it's always a constant debate. And number one, being a woman, there's not many of women.
Yeah.
Especially in certain positions.
For sure.
But then being a woman of color, it's so I think being the change you want to see is always the first thing. But that's just America, period. I think as long as the people who are the gateholders continue to be the gateholders and not want to let anyone in, we will always struggle with and have these types of conversations. I do feel like it's sad that we have to have the conversation.
It really
whether
is,
you're a person of color, whether you're Black, Latino, Asian, Caucasian, even on the Caucasian side, it's we just need to be people that can work. But again, as women, because that's my thing, even as women, it's still hard.
Yeah.
That you see Caucasian women still trying to get opportunities. So you already know if Caucasian women are still trying to fight to get in the door, people of color,
yeah. Well, I know my experience, how hard it is, and I can't, and then you add on a layer of it that I'll never understand.
Yeah.
But I also, Ellen Pompeo, do you know that actress? Okay.
Yeah, from Grey's Anatomy.
I feel like sometimes I'll say it, actors' names, and people are like, I don't know who you're talking about, but I feel like you'll know whoever I list off.
I know.
But she was in an interview or a round table, and she was talking about how she was at some women's show, Women of the Year or something. And like one of the first things she said when she got up on stage was, "There's not enough people of color in this room." She was like,
I remember that interview.
I don't know, just something about her not being afraid to get up on stage, and immediately the first thing out of her mouth was like, there's not enough diversity in this room. There's not enough people of color in this room. I just walked by so many white people, and that's a problem. You know what I mean? I mean, which I get it. Just women in general, I feel like the narrative's changing a little bit, where women are like the constant needing to be at another woman's throat, which I think is such BS. I want to be a person that's helping someone up, never pushing somebody down. But also you can take on that responsibility too of, hey, like I want to see more color in this room. Like I'm tired of seeing snow everywhere I go.
I want to go to the tropics. I want to see some blue water, some green leaves, and some yellow sun.
Exactly.
I feel you. It's so funny because like being from the North and growing up in Connecticut, I didn't realize, because where I'm from in Hartford is so diverse, right? But outside of Connecticut is predominantly white. And I didn't realize that until I moved to Atlanta and then went home for the first time. And I was in a Sam's Club with my mom. I'll never forget this. This was like summer of 98. And I looked around. I'm like, we're the only Black people in the store. And so when I bring my kids to Connecticut, it's kind of a culture shock to them because it's like they're the only Black people in the store. But I say that to say, again, this country has a lot of changing to do. But speaking in regards to our industry, I was watching The Morning Show. That's one of the shows I just finished. And I love that one of the roles, I don't know if you've ever seen The Morning Show.
I've seen the first episode.
Okay. Well, it's, oh God, see, I shouldn't even brought it up because now I can't think of her name. But she plays the role of Hannah. And her name was like Hannah Schufeld or Scheinfeld, whatever. And you could tell that was not written for a Black woman. And I just love that they cast a Black woman because I just feel like you have these people upstairs or in rooms that are saying who can play what, whereas like we all live lives.
Right.
You know, it doesn't matter how much money we have. It doesn't matter our class or our stature. We all go through things. We all have lives. Some people may have more money than other people, but people with more money still have problems. They still have family issues. They still get sick. They still experience death. We are women. We still go through menstrual cycles. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like we all have life experiences and they're not that different. You know, we all have that crazy uncle that may come to the family gathering drunk all the time. You know, it's just different, but it's the same.
Yeah.
And I know because I have all types of friends.
It is though. It is different, but the same. Like it's a different lens, but it's the same. The emotions that you're feeling within your body are the same from what you're receiving.
Yeah, we all do. So I just feel like it's the people that makes the decisions upstairs, which a lot of times they're just upstairs making decisions. They're not even filmmakers. They're just cashing a check. So then they have an opinion. And I feel like once we just have more, inclusive conversations, and then things will start to change. They are slowly changing. I don't want to say they're not, but we still have a really long way to go.
I'd agree with that. Do you have anything upcoming that you can share that you're working on that you can share?
No.
Okay. That's okay.
I feel like right now it's so interesting because I saw something on Instagram, I'll make it quick, where there was another casting director, Caucasian male, and he said everything I've been saying. And after the strike, we just thought it was going to be a waterfall of projects and we are just going to get right back to work. And that hasn't happened yet. I had said to someone that I feel like it's going to be March, because it's like the strike ended, then agreements had to be made, legal actions had to be done. And now the writers' rooms just kind of went back. So you have to let them finish writing the scripts. So a lot of projects are still probably in development. So I really feel maybe a little bit closer to March, we all will be getting back to the real flow of things.
Right.
So right now, like I said, my first project this year is the project I'm coordinating. But, hopefully something's coming up soon that I'll be casting.
It will be. I did see on your Instagram, I'm going to share some of your stuff. I saw... Okay. I stalked you a little bit before this. Just for this, I swear.
I love it. Keep stalking. I love it.
Girl in the Closet, right? I have that right?
Mm-hmm.
It was the first thing you did that you cast according to your Instagram, you cast all the speaking roles on it. Is that correct?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
So I haven't seen it yet, but I saw that I was prepping for this morning. So I'm going to watch that this week sometime.
Oh man, it's on Lifetime, but it's also available on Hulu.
That's what I thought. Okay.
So you could go on Hulu and watch it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a tough one. It's basically one of those ripped from the headline stories, and it actually happened. And I did one movie before that on Lifetime, and it was a Christmas movie, and I just did the local Atlanta roles. And the roles here, I mean, for Girl in the Closet was local Atlanta roles too, but like literally they let us cast everyone.
Okay.
You know, except, you know, Timmy Roman and Remy Ma, but I still did all that. So that was like, even though the subject matter is like, I still was like, it's my baby, because I literally cast every single person in that movie.
That's awesome.
I love it.
Okay, good. I wanted to give you, even if you don't have something that you know right now coming up, I was like, this girl's still working. There's stuff all over her Instagram.
Thank you.
Closing. I'm going to claim this for us because I love your energy. And I'm like, bump casting, directing. I want one day to get to act and you direct. I think it would be a really fun partnership. So anyway, I'm going to throw that out in the universe.
Claim it.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that. You never know. Maybe I'll do a short soon.
Yeah.
Look, we'll see.
I'll play.
See. I love that. That would be fun. Speak it.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
This was such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. It was great talking to you. And if you guys could rate, review the podcast, share it, helps me do what I'm doing, and it helps my get out there in the world too, and y'all can hear their story.
Rate it, share it, subscribe for it.